larger islands. People live on them, 12, 15, 20,000 people. And they're serviced by a ferry from both sides, Victoria and Seattle area. And a real nice hotel coming up on the left called the Oak Bay Beach. There used to be an older one here, but smaller, English Tudor style, but then they tore this down 15 years ago. A true waterfront hotel, Oak Bay Beach. You can even buy a condominium here, on the left. What do you think? Nice?
Nice. Really nice. Oh,
This is where you come
the
for your
Oak Bay
honeymoon.
Beach Hotel.
So folks, I'm sure you heard of the Butcher Gardens, right?
Yes.
Famous garden about 15, 16 miles north of Victoria. I'll point out the house of the late grandson of Robert Butcher, Ian Ross. He bought this house back in 1950 for $50,000 and he sold it for $10 million about 10 years ago. Today it'd be at least $20 million. The double garage coming up on the left and the next drive-in. Almost 2 acres of oceanfront property and 8,500 square feet living space. And somebody's bought it and they're doing a major renovation on it, property.
Oh my gosh.
One can easily sell for $20 million, 2 acres of property. The grandson of Robert Butchers. He died in 1990s also. And the Butcher Garden, still owned by the same family further down. Beach Drive for another bit. And coming up on the both sides of the street is the oldest golf course in the west of the Mississippi. Built in the late 1800s, called the Victoria Golf Course. You want to be a member here, you better get a third and a fourth job. Very expensive. I play golf at night, they don't charge me at night. Pebble Beach of Western
Good
Canada.
time to go.
The American movie star Bob Hope used to come here till the 1991. He used to play golf here. He used to come and stay at the Empress. And I used to work at the Empress back then. I've met him many times. Then he was getting too old. Victoria Golf Course. Beautiful view of the ocean, the Olympic Mountain, the lighthouse. That island that you see, that's a trial island. And the lighthouse that you see, that's the only lighthouse in Western Canada that's still manually operated. The rest of them are all computerized, automated. A man and his wife live on this island running this lighthouse. And that's the way they're going to keep it this thing. Straight ahead of us, McNeil Bay. World's famous fishing around the island for salmon. You can catch a salmon anywhere here. When your wife tells you to shut up, you come here, sit on one of those chairs, start fishing, get a meal for her. You'll see another house further down on the left, the only house on the left, which was also owned by Francis Mouse Rattenberry. This was his summer house. And this small house is the closest house to the Pacific Ocean on Vancouver Island. When the tide comes up, it touches his foundation. That's how close he is. And the Gonzales Hills, straight ahead of us, named after the Spanish explorers. You'll find a lot of the streets and the hills and the straits, islands are named after. So the Butcher Gardens are about 15, 16 miles from the port. We have prepaid tours. A lot of people go right from the ship. Good 45 minutes drive. And normally it's a 3.5 hour tour or 4, all depends on the ship. ships, they hire the tour company, and the tour company hires the buses. And Butcher Garden began all back in 1900, folks. When Robert Butcher and his wife Jenny, they moved here from Owenson, Ontario, East Canada, small town, and they bought 135 acres of land on the Todd Inlet, where the gardens are today, only for $4 or $5 an acre back then. And back east, they were into cement business, and somebody told them that there was a lot of limestone on the island that was needed to make cement. So they bought this acreage, and they opened up Portland Cement Factory there. And they used to send their cement all the way down to California, Western Canada, all over. And the cement used to come in the wooden barrels one time, and he's the one who started to put them in the plastic bags, paper bags, and sacks. Portland cement. And while the limestone lasted about 4 or 5 years, it was a thriving business. Today it's a world famous garden called the Butcher's Garden. The gardens itself started back in 1904. 55 plus acres of beautiful landscaping and flowers. And there are 4 main gardens there. The sunken garden in the quarries of the limestone, English rose garden, Italian garden, and the Japanese garden. And the gardens are open year round, different flowers for different seasons, beautiful year round. And if you go to the garden during the Christmas, December and January, the gardens are lit up with millions of Christmas lights. And they also build a skating rink in the courtyard. People go there for skating in the winter. Before the COVID, in the month of July and August, on Saturday nights, they would have beautiful fireworks at the end of the evening. Those were the busiest nights. And the Butchers used to live at the garden till the late 20s. Then they moved to downtown, but they still got a house up there. You can also have your afternoon tea at the gardens. Beautiful souvenir shop, cafeteria for your food. Another popular thing to do while you're in Victoria is to go whale watching. We got about 3 or 4 different companies in the harbor. They'll take you into the San Juan Islands for an hour and a half to 2 hours, and you're guaranteed to see whales this time of year. A beautiful museum in downtown, next to the Empress Hotel in the heart of downtown, Royal British Columbia Museum. One of the top 10 museums in North America, showing the industries we have in Canada, the wildlife, and the history of First Nation people. This area we're in now, Fairfield. Fairfield Farms at the Hudson Bay Company farm that they had all over. It's also close to town, down maybe 5-6 minutes on the bus, and about 20 minutes walking. Still, we're into the municipality of Victoria now, since the last Main Street. And the first female landowner in Oak Bay was Isabel Ross. There's Ross Bay Cemetery is coming up on the left, named after her. She's also buried here. First official cemeteries in Greater Victoria. A lot of the other pioneers like Douglas, Dunsmuir family, the Butchers family, Emily Carr the artist, and the first judge of British Columbia, Bailey Begbie, who was also known as the hanging judge. They're all buried here. That guy didn't spare nobody. Bailey Begbie. There was another one back in Texas, Roy Beans. He didn't spare nobody that day. So the largest industry in British Columbia used to be the lumber. 2/3 of the forest in Canada, it's in British Columbia alone. Fishing used to be very big one time. But we had 7 or 8 large lumber mills in Greater Victoria. They all got shut down. And Victoria being the capital city of British Columbia, we do have a lot of government employees, but Victoria itself relies on tourism 7 to 8 months out of the year. Thanks to nice people like you come to see Victoria. We get a lot of cruise ships here through the summer, folks, starting from April to end of October. This year there will be 337 cruise ships coming to Victoria. 6 days out of the week we get cruise ships. Sometimes we get 4 a day. Every major cruise liners, they stop here. And sometimes we get cruise ships all the way from Florida through the Panama Canal. That's a 1 month long cruise.